Seahawks Today coming up in just a few moments from right now. We do these live mailbags each and every week, a part of Seahawks Today Live, and this segment is from that show. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of what's going on Seahawks Today, and you can join our live Q&A mailbags where you can get your questions in, and I'll answer them in real time here on Seahawks Today. Seahawks Today is sponsored by Mint Mobile. Plans starting at just $15 a month on America's largest 5G network. Unlimited talk, text, and everything in between. And did I tell you it's owned by Ryan Reynolds? Sign up now at mintmobile.com/chatsports. First question comes in from my guy Nick. Nick writes, Pete Carroll is one of the best coaches in the NFL, but expects a 10-win season from this team. As optimistic as I am for the Seahawks, this is a reach for me. 4-13 to a 6-11 season for me. So we talked about this earlier in the week on the channel, that Pete Carroll said that he expects this group to be a 10-win football team. And that's what they've averaged since his tenure there. And all of that is true, sure. And there's part of that coach speech, right, where you're supposed to have confidence in your team. Where, what are you supposed to say? That, you know what, well, I don't think we're going to win that many games. We're not going to be very good. No, you're not going to say those things. You need to preach confidence within your team. So while I disagree with Pete Carroll, they're not going to be a 10-win football team. My record prediction was 6 wins. I don't think that Pete Carroll said it in a bad way. I don't think it's a negative thing for him to say what he said. If anything, he's just showing confidence in his team going forward. So with that, 10 wins, yeah, it's a reach, but at least he's confident in his team. That was what I took away from that there. Next question comes from Rush with the hashtag Seahawks. Should I bet the under or the over? So the win total, I assume that's what Rush is talking about here, is 5.5. But the over-under for the game this weekend is in the 40s, I believe. The number, there it is on our screen right now. Thank you, Producer Chugs. Over-under 45.5. 44.5, thank you. I would bet the over. I would put money on the over there for that 44.5 number for this game on Monday night. I think that you're going to see a lot of offense, a lot of points scored. You have a Seahawks team that, even though there's been quite a bit of changes, you still have some big-time weapons in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Noah Fant's going to be there. I mean, you could put up points. On Denver's side of things, Russell Wilson finally getting to do what he's wanted to do, and that's throw the football a lot. We've seen when Russell Wilson is allowed to cook, when Russ can cook, they put up points. And so I think that this one, I would lean towards that 44.5 one, taking the over personally. Life's too short to bet the under. Put your money on the over as far as I'm concerned. Next question from Real 12 Stand Up. How important is Monday's game versus the Broncos? Well, some folks will tell you that this is the Seahawks Super Bowl this year. I'm not one of those. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is the Super Bowl for the Seahawks because every game matters, right? And this is a regular season game. I think it is important for bragging rights. It's important emotionally. You know, we don't know when Russell Wilson's going to be back in Seattle again. These two teams, they're not in the AFC West anymore. They're not playing in the same division like they were 20-some-odd years ago. And so with that, this is for bragging rights. It's going to be an emotional night and everything like that. I would say it's important, but this is not what some people would call it, comparing this to the Super Bowl or saying this is the Seahawks Super Bowl this year. It is important, but at the end of the day, this is still a regular season game. Yes, you would love to win this game, but it is not the end of the world if you lose it. It is still a regular season game. I don't care how bad the Seattle Seahawks team may be. I will never compare any regular season game to a Super Bowl. Not happen. So it is important, but it's not to that level, that magnitude, as far as I'm concerned. The reaction, that's going to be a whole nother story too. What's your reaction going to be when Russell Wilson walks out onto the field? You going to be booing him? You're going to be cheering him. What are you going to do? If you're going to boo Russell Wilson, type B for boo. If you're going to be cheering Russell Wilson on when he steps on the field on Monday night, type C for cheer. Let me know in the comments section. How will you applaud Russell Wilson when he steps onto the field? B for boo, C for cheer. Next question comes in. Hashtag Seahawks. Will Bo Melton ever get the call up to the 53? Bo Melton was really good throughout this offseason, but he got outplayed by his fellow seventh-round rookie, Bryce Young, in the preseason. Bryce Young ultimately gets one of the spots, and we see Bo Melton not make it. And so, as you can see there, Young is about the number 5 or 6 receiver, depending on who you ask. The Seahawks with 6 receivers in the active roster. And, you know, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer of sorts here, just being a realist. You're likely going to see an injury at some point this year. I don't know who, but of this 6, somebody's probably going to get hurt. And I would think when that happens, you're not going to go sign a receiver. You'll probably promote Bo Melton to the active roster at that point. That's what I think is the likely scenario. Yes, we will see Bo Melton on the 53-man. It will take an injury, I think, for that to happen, but it will happen at some point this year. We will see Bo Melton get his shot and be on the Seahawks 53-man roster. Jeff Duncan writes, hashtag Seahawks, should I draft DK or Tyler Lockett in my fantasy league? Well, fantasy drafts, fantasy football, I love playing fantasy football. I was able to get DK Metcalf in one of my fantasy leagues, actually. And so, yes, I would. In fact, last year, and I wasn't even covering the Seahawks last year, I had a league with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, and that team did really well. And so, I got to tell you, even with not having Russell Wilson there, this offense, when they move the ball through the air, it's going to be to those two. Those two are going to lead the way. They're still going to get their numbers. They're still going to have good years, even if it's Geno Smith or Drew Lock throwing in the football. So, yes, if you have the opportunity to get DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett in the right round, then, yes, I would go ahead and draft one of those two guys if you have the opportunity to do so. So, thanks for the question, Jeff. Today's show is sponsored by Mint Mobile. You may be asking, what is Mint Mobile offer? Well, they offer unlimited talk and text, high-speed data on America's largest 5G network, mobile hotspots, plans starting at just $15 a month. You can start saving today. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You can start saving right now at mintmobile.com/chatsports. Plans starting at just $15 a month. Sign up now. Tell them that Tyler Jones sent you. You'll be glad you did. mintmobile.com/chatsports. Hulk Smash writes, do you think we will get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud? Well, here's what I'm looking at for this upcoming draft, okay? And I know some people are going to disagree with me on this, but I'll say this anyway. I personally believe that Will Anderson, the defensive player out of Alabama, is far and away the best player in college football. He's that good, okay? And so I don't care who you are. If you have the opportunity to draft Will Anderson number 1 overall, you get Will Anderson, and then you figure out the quarterback situation after that. Kind of like when Jadeveon Clowney was coming out of South Carolina. That's what everyone assumed was, okay, Clowney comes off the board first, and then you pick everybody else after that. Same with Myles Garrett when he was coming out of Texas A&M, and the Cleveland Browns took him. I think in this case, Will Anderson is that type. So then you're talking 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be, Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud as your picks. I think that the Falcons are going to be the worst team in the league. I think the Bears are going to be after them. And then Seattle could be anywhere from 3 to 10 in the draft order. And so, yeah, there's a chance. And I think that you'd be happy with either one. I prefer C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young personally, but those two I think are far and away better than any of the other quarterbacks in this draft. So, yes, I do think there's a chance they land one of those two. And if you're the Seahawks, I think you put all your eggs in your basket, you trade up, you do whatever you can to get one of those two guys in next year's draft. Go find your franchise quarterback. Get a young quarterback that doesn't count too much against the cap and build. Start with those guys. Get a foundational quarterback for years to come. Next question from Levance. Levance writes, hashtag Seahawks. Why do people think Seattle isn't going to be good with Geno when we are same team as Russell in the Super Bowl win? Percy scored more points than Russell offense. Let me put it this way. Last year, the Seahawks had Russell Wilson and went 7-10. This team doesn't have that franchise quarterback anymore and has arguably the worst starter in the league in Geno Smith now. And all of a sudden, you think that this team's a playoff team? Not so fast. And it's not just losing Russell Wilson. You don't have Bobby Wagner anymore. You're going with a very young offensive line. Look, I have said, and I will reiterate on this program again, that this Seahawks team has a bright future going forward, that they have very good foundational pieces with what they were able to do in this draft with Abraham Lucas, Charles Cross, Boye Mafe, Kobe Bryant, Tariq Woolen, yada, yada, yada. Sure, those are good foundational pieces for Seattle, what they can build for years to come. But right now, it's not their time. This is not their time to be a contender. They're not even close to what that Russell Wilson Super Bowl team was. So they'll be good in the future, but now is not their time. It's not their moment right now. Now your turn. Predict the Seahawks record this season. You heard me tell it here on Seahawks Today a few days ago. I have the Seahawks as about a 6-win team. What say you? Predict the Seahawks record in the comments section and let me know. Aura says, how would you measure this team's success with all of the young players? Hashtag Seahawks. How would you measure this team's success? I would say, for me, what I would measure the team's success is you can't look at wins and losses, right? And I know that is something where somebody is going to say, okay, Tyler, what do you mean? Everything we measure by wins and losses. With this young talent, with the young guys you have, what you hope for this group is that they get better week after week, that you see substantial growth. That's how you measure the success of these young players. Are they playing to their potential? Are they getting better? Are they improving? If they are doing that, then that's success. That's how you measure success with this young group. Not everything's about wins and losses. Those days will come. I'm sure they will with this young group. But for now, it's about getting better each and every week and playing to your potential. You do those things, that's successful. Stick writes, hashtag Seahawks. Besides quarterback, what position do the Seahawks need to improve next offseason? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be real with you, folks. Cody Barton, he ain't that guy. What's the TikTok? You're not that guy, pal. Cody Barton's not that guy. And he was so bad in the preseason. Jordan Brooks is phenomenal. There's a reason why he's going to be leading the defense. But next year, you got to replace Cody Barton. You got to get him a running partner for Jordan Brooks as an inside linebacker. Cody Barton is not good enough. He's got a chance to prove otherwise, but I don't think he's that guy. Matthew writes, hashtag Seahawks, do you think Kenneth Walker III needs his reps, or should Seattle keep Penny as running back number one? Has been absolute garbage until the end of last season. Penny was the most explosive running back in the NFL at the end of last year. It was. And Kenneth Walker into the fold, and we mentioned with DJ Dallas, Travis Homer, you have a really good core. I'm not concerned with who RB1 is or RB2 or any of that stuff. What I'm concerned about is getting these guys all on the field and rotating the backs, running it by committee, keeping things fresh. It doesn't matter who starts. As long as they're both getting playing time and they're both productive, then it's fine for me. I mean, to me, then it doesn't matter who starts. You're okay either way. Augusta writes, what scenario would it have to take for the Seahawks to make the playoffs? Let's see. What scenario would it take? A lot of teams would have to deal with some injuries. There'd have to be some quarterbacks that go down. Geno Smith would have to play out of his mind and not make mistakes and win some football games. Not only just manage games, but be the reason that they win games. For me, that's what I'd have to look at with Geno Smith. And the offensive line would have to really emerge and come along throughout the process as well. Those are the things just that come to mind immediately. And even when it comes to the secondary, they'd have to grow up pretty fast. I don't think the Seahawks can make the playoffs. What about you, though? Will Seattle make the playoffs? Let's get loud in that comment section. Type HY for hell yes. Type HN for hell no if the Seahawks will make the playoffs in 2022. Couple more for you. Tipper wants to know, how many more years will Carroll be the Seahawks head coach? I could see this very well being Pete Carroll's last year. It would not shock me at all. And one thing I talked about on our show earlier this week of Pete Carroll saying that the Seahawks are going to win 10 games this year, if that expectation was my concern with Pete Carroll, as good as he's been, and he is a Hall of Fame coach, he will be that guy. He is that guy when it comes to the Hall of Fame, but I'm afraid that the game has passed him by. We've seen him not adapt to the way the NFL is going offensively. I mean, what's the saying? Adapt or die. And in Pete Carroll's case, I'm worried that he's getting behind offensively. That even when they bring in a new quarterback, when they find their franchise guy, that they're still not going to want to throw the football as much as you need to in today's NFL. So I think the years are numbered for Pete Carroll. I would be shocked if he's there for 3 more years. I would lean towards between that 1 to 3 range for Pete Carroll. But thanks for the question there. As always, you can interact with me on Twitter and Instagram at Tyler Jones Live. You can find me there. Also on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Tyler Jones Live. You can find me there. And I will see you right back here next time here on Seahawks Today. Have a great day.